Well, following the Blue Iris's expedition to Salisbury Hall last week, we invited local parapsychologist and ghost expert Juliet Gregson into the studio to talk about her experiences of the paranormal on the Fylde coast. Okay, Juliet Gregson.
Hello.
Thank you for coming in to talk to us today.
Absolutely.
And obviously, we got in touch with you because of because of the story in the Gazette on Monday, which we'll talk about later on. But just give us a brief introduction to who you are and what you do, and what you're interested in, and why you're here today to talk to us.
Why I'm here today? Right. Well, as you've said before, my name's Juliet Gregson. I'm 32. I'm a local lass, or a sand groanan. Don't be deceived by the accent. I actually had elocution lessons when I was younger. But of course, if you're going to do things like this, it's good to sound polite and professional. Always had an interest in the paranormal or parapsychology. I actually went to the Blackpool and Fylde College and did an A-level in it, and it was the only, I think, college at the time in 2001 that was actually running this. It is a professional qualification, and basically it's just I'm trying to get information together to write a book about Blackpool Ghosts, because we've got things like, Yorkshire Ghosts, Lancashire Ghosts, and I just thought it would be good if my friends and, the local community could actually help me out with that.
Right. Well, what sort of an area do you think Blackpool and the Fylde coast is for paranormal activity? Because it's a fairly new area, isn't it, in terms of... And obviously, last week we were at Salisbury Hall, and people who listen to this service, of course, will have probably heard that by now, and will know what that's all about. But that was a 16th century, well, before that, actually, manor house. But Blackpool's a fairly new community, isn't it, really, in terms of history? So what sort of an area is Blackpool for paranormal activity?
When you actually research the history of Blackpool properly, you can sort of trace it back to the 12th and 13th century with the Clifton family, which is sort of Lytham St Anne's. And if you've ever been round Lytham Hall, very interesting. There's reports of paranormal activity there. You've got various places in South Shore, such as the Pleasure Beach, actually around the area where you're situated here with the ley lines near Stargate. Yeah. Lytham St Anne's, Poulton. I think... in St Michael's there's actually a church that's mentioned in the Doomsday Book. I'd have to check up on that. So a lot of people think, if it's not like 900 years old, there can't be any, any stories or any activity. Sometimes it can be as recent as about, 50 years ago. Because when you think about it, there's all these places that you think, I bet that's quite spooky. I wonder if we can go around it. And it's just taking the time to actually research it at the end of the day. Okay.
Now, you say you're a local lass, so obviously you know the area very, very well. What sort of places have you actually, or any particular areas or buildings that you sort of have concentrated on and have had more experiences than others? What are your experiences of actually, having contacts and stuff?
I think my own house, well, actually my parents' house, and obviously for various reasons, I'm not going to say which road.
No, please don't. Let's not make an excuse, the same mistake that other local media have done.
My parents' house with the lady who used to live there before. But I'm going to save that one for the book. So,
okay.
Sorry, listeners.
That's all right.
But it'll be worth it when I read about it. The local sixth form that I used to go to is St Mary's, which is on the St Walburgers.
Yeah.
A lot of history there, and quite a few strange things happened when I actually attended there in, got to think now, 1990.
Yeah.
So I've sort of documented those, and I'll probably include those in a book at some point. But that was a really strange place, because it used to be a convent.
Of course.
And it's not just me who's seen things either. It's sort of past pupils and people, who my parents know and I know. And this has happened, and I'm like, good, it's not just me getting mad. Because obviously I try to rationalise anything that I hear and try and get proof and try and get evidence or, film it or take pictures and so on and so forth.
Right. So, but just by talking to you, I get the impression that you're fairly rational, in so much that I know there are an awful lot of people who just assume that there are activity in every single location, but you clearly are sceptical about some people's accounts and don't take everything as being something paranormal. A lot of things can be easily explained, can't they?
Oh, definitely, of course. It's, if I was to run a TV programme, I wouldn't do it just for the ratings and just so I could sell more merchandise. Like, it's Juliet Gregson on, think of a name for it, the Ghost Paragon. I'd probably call it Haunted Socks or something, just to be silly. But I would sort of try and rationally and scientifically explain it. Yes, there are things you can't explain, but there are other things that are very easily faked. You can cold read people, you can rig tables. It's like when they do Ouija boards on television programmes. How dangerous is that if you don't know what you're doing?
Of course.
And anybody who's done something like this and something has happened, or even white witches, for want of a better explanation, they'll say, "Okay, do you know what you're doing?" But most people think it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
It can be quite dangerous.
Right. So what are your experiences in terms of actually seeing things? Is there anything you can tell us, maybe that's not going to ruin the book? But I mean, is there something that? What are your experiences, or at least maybe you think you've seen something?
I tend to see people who've just departed at funerals, and this goes for family members, but also people that I don't know,
right?
Which is kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
Or going into people's houses and saying, "Have you heard something in your bedroom?" Or do you get weird things happening in the kitchen? And they kind of look at me and go, "Okay, how do you know you're being spooky again?" And I say, "Well, it's a feeling."
Yeah.
And then sort of seeing things out of the corner of my eye, and thinking, "Okay, is this me?" No, it's not. There is things that I do see. There's probably, a wonderful technical explanation for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish I could come up with a rational explanation. I mean, sometimes I think, yes, right, that's the floorboards.
Yeah.
Or that's such and such a thing. But I remember seeing one at the ice dome, and it was an ice skater who unfortunately, had a very, bad accident. He did die because of a result of this accident.
Mm-hmm.
And I found out somebody who actually knew about, the previous skaters, and I described what I had seen. And it turns out it was the person I'd seen following me down these stairs. It was actually this person who had died.
Right.
And I was like, okay, how can I have made that up?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's certain things you can get pre-information, but this... Spooky.
So, I mean, take that as an example. I mean, just trying to get across, because obviously, again, as people who listen to this regularly know that a group of us are absolutely 100%, and we'll stand by this forever now, that we definitely saw something at Salisbury Hall last week. There's no doubt about that. But when you actually saw this person, what kind of form did it take? I mean, is it people's preconceived ideas are that it's white and you can see straight through it? Is that the kind of thing that you saw, or did it look pretty solid and pretty human, as if it's really there, or
transparent? I mean, you can have, you can see a full form figure, so to speak. You can see maybe just the top half, sometimes a head, which obviously would alarm me, and trust me, I'd be the first one to run out of the area I was in, screaming, "Ah!" as I go. Now, I'm not fearless, I mean, don't get me wrong, I would try and think, okay, is it a trick of the light? Is it somebody, say if you went on a proper ghost tour who was trying to use a projector, that's been used before, when people have gone around haunted houses and haunted establishments.
Yeah.
There's so much information out there you can read up on, or through word of mouth, talking to other people as well. And then sometimes it's not just people, it could be like dogs, cats, pets, even places, which is a weird one. I mean, I've never experienced that. It's more with people.
Right.
I mean, how alarming would that be? You sort of look up, where's the tower? It's not there. You've been transported back in time. There are probably people who've had those sorts of experiences.
Well, people have. I mean, we mentioned before, just off air there, about Shingle Hall, and I remember hearing the story about somebody who went to Shingle Hall to pay a deposit for an overnight stay and put it through a letterbox and of an old oak door at the front, and heard voices as if there was a party going on. And when they went back the next day, there was no oak door. And the owner had said, well, there was one a few hundred years ago, but we've traced it in the history, but it wasn't there anymore. And this guy is said to have had an experience where, I don't know whether it's kind of some sort of, hole in time or something. I don't know how the heck you explain that. But this door wasn't there when he went back the following day. It all completely changed. And the fact that he'd actually managed to put this thing, I think he put it through a letterbox or under the door. But the fact was that what's actually there now is an iron door, and there's no gap, so he couldn't have put it through.
Wow.
But it somehow got through, and it's just bizarre. And I've heard one or two stories like that. So I know what you mean. It's not just people or even animals. It can sometimes be.
It can be places. It's like, for example, say if you and I went to the same place, and investigated, you would write a different account of things, and I would. Mm-hmm. Although we would both be there, our viewpoints would be different at the end of the day. I mean, you could argue this until the cows come home. You really could.
I mean, obviously, you've not heard our CD yet, but I know Chris has burnt you off a copy of that, so you can listen to it. But I hope you find it interesting. I mean, some of it really does just set the ground, the framework of the whole place for the first part of it. But although you've not heard it, what do you think about the experience that we think we had? I mean, it was 7 people seeing the same thing and looking at it and reacting to it for a good 5 or 6 minutes. I mean, that is pretty unusual, isn't it? It's usually only one or two people that see it.
People. Yeah, and then you sort of turn around and say to the person perhaps who's a couple of feet away, "Did you see that?" Or, did you hear that? And they kind of look at you and go, huh?
Yeah.
What? You had a drink? And you go, no. And then, I mean, 7 or 8 people, yes. I mean, it'd be nice to perhaps get some fresh faces, so to speak.
Yeah.
That's not the right phrase, is it? Maybe get some new people who don't know you.
Yeah.
You know, just sort of go in and sort of say, okay, without any preconception, without doing any history or research in the place. I must admit, I haven't. I've kind of looked and went, oh, that's a nice place. I wouldn't mind going around there.
Yeah.
You know, I would get people to go in cold, so you get different viewpoints and get them maybe to write things down, take photographs, take video or camcorder footage, or maybe even just to sit there with their eyes closed and think, what can I hear? Rather than relying on eyesight, which of course can be deceptive.
Yeah, that's right. It was certainly a bizarre experience because, I mean, you're right. I mean, we actually knew that this white grey lady, whatever you want to call her, does actually haunt supposedly Salisbury Hall, and so many people have seen her. But we weren't. I certainly wasn't actively looking for her when I saw her, but it just seemed to appear, and everyone else saw it too. And the strange thing is that we. I half expected, even when we were seeing it, that we'd get out there and we'd see it was a shadow or it was a trick of the light. But when she disappeared, it was obvious that whatever we had seen had gone, because that thing, the whole shape, the whole colour of the tree or whatever that she was stood next to had completely changed. So we were definitely seeing something there. You know, it was bizarre. It really was strange. But anyway, have a listen to the CD and see what you think.
I mean, sometimes you get reports of ghosts, and it's not just around this area, that they will appear specifically, you know, perhaps every 10 years or every 50 years, or at a specific time at night, maybe midnight or 3 o'clock in the morning, or sometimes in the afternoon. People assume, oh, I must go ghost hunting at midnight. Not necessarily.
Right.
It's when you least expect it. Which is bizarre, because you think, you know, you're there with your torches and your sleeping bags, but sometimes it can be just as, you know, you're walking through a graveyard, or you're just walking past somewhere and you think, what was that? It is weird, but, you know, because most people aren't susceptible to it, or they're not, you know, open-minded, for want of a better phrase.
Yeah.
You know, oh, it's like, you know, God doesn't exist because you can't see him. Well, how do you know? You don't, do you? You know the wind exists, you can't see it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's quite a simple explanation. People go,
yeah.
blah, blah, and what about creation and Einstein's theory and this and that? You know, you could discuss this for ages. You really could.
So, are there any other sort of specific locations in Blackpool? I mean, we've heard a lot recently about Mains Hall at Singleton, which is actually very similar to Chingle Hall. Looks very similar when you see the picture. And as I said to you, I went round it about a year ago, and supposedly the ghost of a woman haunts it, and she's often seen looking out of a window that's not there anymore, that's been boarded up. But you're shaking your head at me now, Val. I wish people could see this, but are you a bit sceptical about places like that, because they've gone quite commercial, haven't they?
Oh yes, ghost hunting is commercially viable. It's like psychic phone lines that you will see, you know, even in our local Blackpool papers. You open up some of the, you know, trashy magazines that we've got, and it's like, ring 0898 blah blah blah. It only costs you £1.50 a minute, and you're thinking, oh, these poor bereaved people, you know, miss their husbands, their wives, their boyfriends, girlfriends so much, and they're spending how much money? It's such a con, and it really annoys me.
But somewhere like Mains Hall, you were pretty vigorously then
There's various bits that have been added on over the years, and there was actually something in the local paper here where you had the present owner going, oh yes, we've had such and such a body. Obviously I can't mention for legal reasons, because I don't want you guys to get sued, or me. And the former owner wrote into the Gazette, you know, really scathing, saying, you know, you're just interested in the money. I lived there, I think it was like 15 years, the previous owner, and she said there's absolutely nothing. You're just jumping on the bandwagon. And I thought, yay, go on. It is, I mean, they're doing some kind of ghost thing there, I think, over the next couple of months. And it's so expensive. It's like 95.
It is.
It's either 75 or 95 pounds.
Yeah, Jason Carl, who of course used to be on Most Haunted, is doing that particular thing. He's actually bought a place in Preston, and he lives in Lancashire now. He's made Lancashire his kind of new home. Yeah. And
must like the place.
I know that he's approached Salisbury Hall, and they're actually reluctant to do it.
I mean, yes, it's nice, and sometimes you do need these old properties that do need money, but there are other ways to do that, rather than, you know, getting a lot of people traipsing through going, oh, well, I saw this and I saw that. You know, if I had a house like that, I wouldn't do it.
No.
I just wouldn't. I couldn't.
Maybe this is why Chingle Hall's not accessible then. I mean, the guy who owns it now won't let anybody go around it, which is a shame because, of course, it's supposedly Britain's most haunted house, isn't it?
He's got his morals right. So
Yeah.
I'll give him that.
Yeah,
it's annoying for the rest of us who think,
Yes.
oh, we'd love to go around.
Exactly. The
But in
previous
one
owner
respect,
exploited it, was quite happy to exploit it and charge people money, but he won't, really.
I mean, it's like people who have, clairvoyant, or they can do tarot, or they can see. They see a lot of people see it as a gift, and they don't really charge for it. And other people just make an absolute load of money out of it, and then, you can be really vague with it. I mean, it's so easy. I've got your full name. I could go on the internet and find out where you live, and various other pieces of information. It's that easy.
Right.
So if you had, if you came for a reading and I was, all spooky psychic, I could do a cold reading with you and tell you things, and you'd be like, oh, wow. And I'd be there going, thank you very much, that's 40 quid.
Yeah.
It's very easy, but there are other people out there who can genuinely do things like that and would tell you things that only you would know.
Sure. Okay, and what about locations further afield if we go away from the Foul Coast? I mean, obviously, I presume you've been to other places in different parts of the country or whatever. Anywhere that stands out particularly that has maybe had more activity than anywhere else?
I think Scotland, actually. I think is a personal favourite probably of mine. I mean, London, yes, a lot of research, you can pick up off the internet. But with Scotland, there's like little villages, things like that. It's the most obscure places, even in Cumbria or Scotland. Everybody's got that little place that everyone thinks, ooh, that is a bit, spooky. I'm not just saying, Lancashire is the paranormal centre point.
No, we're not too bad for supposed locations, are we, I suppose? But yeah. And do you find as well that these places that have such a reputation of being haunted, they're probably not the best places maybe to go and look? It's often in the most obscure, insignificant almost places where you probably get the most activity, do you think?
Or even the ones that are most busy, like commercial places. I mean, there's a lot along the Blackpool seafront that over the years has been knocked down and then built up something else. I mean, let me think. The bowling place used to be the Lobster Pot. It's Super Bowl? Is it Super Bowl now?
Yeah, of course.
That used to be the Lobster Pot.
Yeah.
I'm showing my age now. Where you could roll the boot.
I remember.
And before that, if you go back, there's so much history along that bit there, but then again, you've got sort of little pockets when South Shore was being built, and Bispham and Leighton. Most of us, if we're going past Leighton, always think, oh, right, I know I'm in Leighton, I can see the high-rise flats. But before that, it was just normal houses, and they're quite close together. And then Bispham, Thornton even. It's just sort of getting your nose sometimes and thinking, oh, that's quite interesting.
Yeah.
And maybe you're trying to piece it together and talk to people who've lived there for like 50, 60 years. It's all very interesting.
Yeah, sure. So how do you go about sort of researching that? I mean, because obviously we've looked on your. I know the Gazette called it a website, but it's actually your forum, isn't it?
It's
within a website.
I'd like to do a website, but to me the information goes out of date quite quickly. To me, if I could afford it, which I can't at the moment, I would probably do a website and it'd be like, okay, here's some pictures, here's some static stories, and then the most up-to-date things I would put on the forum because you can reply immediately.
Yeah.
There are various sites across, the United States and in Britain that do have a website and a huge forum, with like 2,000-3,000 members, and it's just trying to bring everybody together going, oh, I saw this, and they're helping each other. They haven't even met. Some things you can research by book. Some things, yes, you can Google it. And other things, you'll only find out if you talk to the people in the area.
Okay. Because of course, there's this one on your forum that I seem to remember reading an article about it before. I think it was in the Polton Life magazine about this thing that's supposed to be around Carlton somewhere. I mean, obviously that's an old story because it was first sort of reported back in the 30s, wasn't it? About this, we should just explain for anyone who doesn't know about it. Was it a cab driver?
It was.
You can tell the story because you know it better than I do.
Oh, definitely. It's quite bizarre. I mean, my partner, Ian, actually lives in Thornton, and sometimes I will drive that way past the crematorium. Yeah. And I kind of go, I always look in the mirror as I'm going past thinking, is that a tree? But could be due to the story. It's that, you can work yourself up into complete paranoia and then kind of go, I need the loo. But there's no loo nearby. Way back in the mist of time, in the sort of 20s and 30s, round by the crematorium, there was seen a lady, and rumour has it, or story goes, that a taxi driver actually picked her up and then, said, oh, I'd like to be dropped off by the gates of the crematorium. And when he actually turned around and got there, she wasn't there. Well, of course, he's got nobody else to collaborate the story with, but a lot of people have seen somebody wandering around by that lane and inside the crematorium from, the 30s onwards. Can't say I've seen anything, but I've never actually spent the night there. I'd like to.
Yeah.
But, of course, a lot of the time there's so many locations around here, but it's just getting organised and getting permission and sort of saying, well, we're just interested, we're not out to make any money. We just want to investigate it scientifically.
Yeah. But there have been
some
some fairly recent accounts, though, haven't there, of people seeing something around there?
When you actually look at the history around that area and the maps, these old lanes and where some of the houses used to be, obviously they don't exist because they've been knocked down.
Yeah.
Because you think, well, how far back does it go? Unless you've actually been in the crematorium, it actually does go back quite a far way. And you can actually get from Poulton to there. You used to be able to. And another friend of mine used to see, she says, she's seen a couple of odd things around there. She still lives around that area. It is weird, she's, is it, because I was a child, was it just my imagination or was it something else? But I think the more people that see it that aren't connected with each other, obviously, they didn't have the internet back then.
Yeah, of course.
And they didn't know each other.
No.
Explain that one.
That's right. Well, I mean, obviously we're going to look into the possibility of trying to set something up in Blackpool, because as you say, in Blackpool there is no ghost club, is there? I mean, we know there are one or two different psychic clubs, aren't there, I think, knocking about. But that tends to be all about, a lot of it seems to be about clairvoyancy and mediumship. It's not about actually trying to research.
Going out there and doing it.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
You can go see Paula Paradema. She's very good, actually. You can go and see, I think, the Gypsy Petralengo.
Petralengo, yes.
Can't say it proper.
That's easy for me to say.
I mean, they actually live in the South Shore Martin area. Very nice people. It's like a psychic development group, or the spiritualist churches. It's to develop yourself personally. Good.
Yeah.
Go out there and do it.
Yeah.
Although some people would argue, you're born with it. You can't learn it. Then again, you could argue that one again. Well, I couldn't drive a car, but I learnt. Swings and roundabouts.
Why do you think paranormal activity seems to be on the increase? Because apparently, if you believe the facts, over the last 3 years, the reported sightings and people actually recounting stories about ghosts and seeing things has really gone up in the last 3 years. Now, we'll come to this in a minute, but do you think it's got anything to do with the fact that Most Haunted has become such a popular institution now? Or do you think maybe something really is happening within the atmosphere where there are more and more reported sightings? Or do you think it's because communication's so much better now with things like the internet that there are more forums for people to discuss it? Or what do you think?
Right, I shall answer this in reverse. With your last question, yes, you've got the World Wide Web, you've got internet, you've got email. It's a lot more easy to research things and get information. As for the second one, that is an interesting one. A lot more people are getting a lot more honest and open.
Yeah.
It's the sort of things that some people are quite comfortable talking about, like myself, and other people wouldn't dream of it. Then again, you could say that a couple of years ago, it's like with advertising, there were certain things with feminine products you weren't allowed to discuss or put on television. Now, it's like the reality programmes, the barriers within society are being knocked down a bit, so nobody thinks you're as loopy as you actually make out you are. When you go, oh, well, I've seen a ghost. Like, oh, do tell. And everybody goes and sort of leans in. And then you've always got your own little story, or, oh, my uncle this, or my auntie that, or, well, I saw, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And
it's like a trigger. You tell somebody something, and then we've had that with our experience last week. I went to see a woman today, and I was fitting a computer for her, and I told her, and she sort of said, "Oh, I believe you went to Salisbury Hall." And I said, "Yes." "Did you see anything?" "Yes." 7 of us think we saw a ghost. "Really? Wow, that's amazing." Well, my daughter swears blind that she sees her granddad sat at the bottom of the bed upstairs, and there's no doubt about it. She honestly believes it. And it's funny, I've not had actually anybody who thinks we're a bunch of crackpots so far. Everyone has said, "Yeah, we want to listen. Here's my story." So
it's like a
maybe
trigger.
You're right, yeah.
It's like a trigger point. If it's a specific subject, such as ghosts, or even, should we ban smoking in pubs and restaurants, things like that. There's specific subjects that always get a reaction out of people. And the paranormal and ghosts is one of them.
Yeah, okay.
And as for your first question, if you actually watch the television now, not just like the terrestrial television ones, the Sky and the cable, here in Britain and in the US, it's big business. It's all about money making and ratings and things. And I mean, it's like, T-shirts at 15 quid a pop. You're selling 1,000 of those at a limited edition. You're making a mint. The phone lines for when you ring in, or the locations. It's just, to me, yes, it is good television in some instances because you think, oh, that is good. But there's other instances you think, oh, how faked. Please, and you end up screaming at the television, but some people are quite gullible.
Well, I was going to come to that about Most Haunted. Obviously, we're talking about here, and for those people who haven't seen Most Haunted, and there may well be quite a few out there who haven't seen it. It is, of course, a program on Living TV, which, of course, involves a group of investigators looking at supposedly haunted locations, and of course, they take a medium with them. That medium, 9 times out of 10, is Derek Acora, who, of course, has just left the show. Derek Acora is a bleached blonde scouser with an earring. He was a larger-than-life character, and he's very entertaining. But, of course, there are so many aspersions now cast about whether he's genuine or not. There was an article in the paper on Friday that a member of the team actually said that he deliberately set him up and he'd fallen for the trap, and that you could no longer, he wasn't in the presence of a real medium and that kind of thing.
You could argue this one. The
exactly.
believers, the sceptics, the people on the fences. The only way that the skeptics would be proved wrong is if they had a private reading, but then again that would be how many thousands of people, and he told them something specific that he couldn't research. But I would say that about any medium or any psychic.
Sure.
Tell me something that nobody else would know. Then I'd believe them. Then I'd say, okay, hop on, he's all right or she's all right. But there are so many ways around it. I do genuinely want to believe, what I see and what I hear about, various people, be it on the telly or, around the local area, but I want proof first.
Sure.
I'm not just going to think, oh, it must all be right, it's on telly. Or I read it in the paper. Well, such body told me. It's just validating it at the end of the day scientifically again. I
mean, in your opinion, do you think anything that these sort of programmes do, such as Most Haunted, is any of it genuine, do you think? Is it all...
If it is, it's by accident.
Right.
But that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah.
I'm not speaking on behalf of, some people think, oh, wow, wonderful. Is it entertainment? Is it real? It's up to the individual to make, that assumption. I believed it was real, but I've seen evidence and, things to the contrary that makes me think, hold on a minute.
Yeah.
Something smells a bit fishy. Something looks a bit fishy.
Do you think, from what I've heard, other rival... I know for a fact the BBC wanted to buy Most Haunted and show old repeats for a couple of years and then maybe start showing new stuff, but apparently they turned them down because they've got this... They're tied into, obviously, Living TV. But there are, by all accounts, several programmes in the pipeline, maybe on Channel 5 or ITV or Channel 4, that want to...
I've heard that as well.
Get into that. If you were going to... If you were in charge of this kind of a programme, how would you make it differ from the others that have been out there? What would your approach be?
Well, firstly, I would, get a good team of researchers who are going to put the facts down, who do, a mixed bag, so to speak. People who believe in things like this, and people who don't. Just because they're maybe 16, I shouldn't discount them, or because they live at the other end of London, or some of them live in Blackpool. I would get together, a proper team, not people who are like, oh, look, I'm going to be on telly, la, 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 make myself look pretty and get myself a name and then go and do, ghost investigations and things at Salisbury Hall or wherever. To me, I wouldn't be, but then again, I think I've just got a voice for radio and not for television. Yes. If you saw me, you'd understand why. It's weird. I wouldn't do it just to get the ratings.
Right.
I'd sort of say, right, I'm going to try and do this scientifically. If I find out anybody's trying to make this fake or frauding it, they get kicked out. They get kicked off. Because people would try and set you up. It's just too tempting. I would.
Yeah, of course.
Let's see what we can do to chip them up and make them look silly. I would get, not celebrities. Yeah, great, if they want to come in, wonderful. If not, just like your ordinary Joe public and get a genuine reaction.
Yeah.
Not a group of good-looking 20 or 30-year-olds,
Yeah.
I would take my mother. I would
Sure.
take my dad.
Because to be fair...
I would, so it'd be not just...
Yeah, no, you're right, you're right. Of course, on Most Haunted, and I noticed, because I've been to 3 live Most Haunted, when they pick somebody to come out of the audience, it is nearly always a really attractive blonde woman in the 20s. And... also, the reaction when they sort of say, right, we've picked your name out, they already know. They don't look surprised at all.
They don't, do they? Although we had Harry Potter, didn't we? We had Harry Potter this one.
Really?
Harry Potter look-alike.
Oh, really? I didn't see it, actually. I must admit.
He did look like Harry Potter.
Oh, right. But also, when they get somebody out of the audience, they don't tend to do anything. you always think, what happened to the person who came out the audience? So they actually speak. They usually have the men in the background, but you never see them again, do you?
They kind of just stand there and go, I felt a draft up my left leg.
Yeah.
Or something went past. Maybe they broke wind. I don't know. Not sure. Your guess is as good as mine. I really don't know.
But yeah, I think, like you say, that you're right. I think there is definitely a gap for a possibly a less showbizy type program. You think? I'm sure somebody will do it eventually. I'm sure they will.
I mean, there's enough organisations that would gladly, just say, right, we've got this. Can you come and investigate this? There's magazines that do things like this. There's groups. I mean, I've actually given him. Try again. I've actually given you some literature.
Yeah.
That you can read through where people, set up groups all over the country and then swap information, which is good because they want to do it properly and scientifically. I mean, that's what you think Hawking and Einstein try to do when they explain, the theory of relativity and black holes. Yes, it's difficult to understand, but once you get your head around the principles and basics of it, you think,
Yeah.
And it kind of overlaps into the paranormal as well. Because you think, what is a paradox? Could it happen? If we had a TARDIS, would Doctor... Is it possible?
Yeah.
Could we go in the future? Could we go back in time? Would we be able to alter it? And if you did, you'd create a paradox and change history and...
Sure.
Oh.
But of course, you're a bit like us, really. I mean, we did this thing on Wednesday, and although we've put it on our website, we've not done it for any commercial gain, and we never ever will. It's just interest. It's interest and genuine enthusiasm in doing it. And I think if you've got that, you're more likely to get honest results, aren't you?
Yeah.
Like you say, you're not trying to sell T-shirts or DVDs at 15 quid a pop.
No.
We don't do that, do we? Even if we could, I don't think we would.
I don't think people would buy a T-shirt of me on the No.
I'm pretty sure they wouldn't buy one of Chris and I unless it was for someone they didn't like very much.
Maybe a picture of my jacket. I don't know. It's a picture of a cute dog I saw that we took on the investigation.
But we're going back to the file. Is there anywhere in file that you would say, if somebody said to you, right, okay, Julia, we're going to give you the keys to such and such and you can spend a couple of nights there, whatever. Is there anywhere in Blackpool that you would love to investigate? Sort of interference-free, if you could take a group of us, if we decided to go, where would you want to go?
There's so many. I mean, pubs around this local area for a kick-off. Slightly further afield, Lytham Hall.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I would love that. The Pleasure Beach. I mean, please. Cloggy, hello. The workers actually make the noises and jump out. I know. My late granddad used to do that.
Should say Cloggy, of course, is something that most haunted went to Blackpool Pleasure Beach and picked up apparently on this spirit called Cloggy, which I do have on good authority was slightly less than
legit, shall we say?
Yes, there was a slight loophole. We think.
I mean, you've got people's houses. It's not just sort of buildings where maybe there's been a bank 100 years ago or an establishment. You could go from one end of Lytham to the other end of Fleetwood and sort of say, right, let's go through and see where we can go. It's, people may be listening to this thinking, oh, yes, my friend Ian might say, oh, yes, what about this? You can come around here and that'd be really good. It's just getting out there and doing it at the end of the day and getting permission and sort of saying, look, we're not daft, we're not out to make money, we just want to do a proper scientific investigation.
There are certainly a couple of pubs in Lytham that I'm aware of. I think one of them, what would it be? Not the county, the other one, right bang in the centre, the really old one.
Oh, that one, yeah.
Ship and Royal. A friend of mine used to work in the Ship and Royal, and he is as hopefully as sane as they come. And I know that he used to work down in the cellar, and he actually saw this figure walk straight past him. And when he ran up towards it, it wasn't there. And I know that the landlady herself has said that she's experienced loads of things down there because it's a very, very, very old building.
Very.
So places like that would be great, I suppose, wouldn't they, to investigate?
I mean, the windmills across the Fylde, you've got so many things. It's just sort of sitting down and thinking, oh, that would be good to spend a night there. Even in people's houses, silly as it sounds. I mean, I could fill up several pages of A4 thinking, right, what about this one, what about this one, what about this one? And not just the obvious ones.
No.
Maybe, silly as it sounds, sand dunes, which is a bit ridiculous. All right, you'd be cold, but you'd have to have a fire. But silly things. Tower would be great, but getting permission, of course.
Yeah.
That's the main.
And of course, Most Haunted went to the tower and they apparently picked up on things. But I know probably half a dozen people who either work or have worked at the tower, and they all swear that they hear and see things in that ballroom all the time.
It would be interesting just to get a local's point of view, not just with our famous landmarks, but with other ones that maybe some people might not have heard of. Like the graveyards. Everyone goes, "Oh, could you spend a night in a graveyard?" Well, you don't know what you'd see. Might not see anything.
That's right.
It's not just a waste of time, it's just gathering information and collating it at the end of the day.
And of course, doing it scientifically. So I presume when you've done these investigations, what kind of techniques do you use? I mean, do you have things like? I mean, we bought an EMF meter for our thing. I know that they're not totally reliable, but they're not a bad starting point, are they? Really? But what sort of equipment do you think you'd use if you're going on those kind of things? Because it's not just a case of sitting there, is it? Although
some people just would. I mean, taking pictures not just with digital, but with like proper film.
Yeah.
Because some people would accuse you of tampering with a digital photograph with Photoshop. As with a negative, it's very difficult to do that. A pen and a piece of paper or a notepad.
Yeah.
It sounds stupid, but your account will be different from mine. I might see something that you might not. At the end of the day, your EMF meters. It might be dowsing sticks, crystals, things like that. Anything you can think of that would get different readings and different quantitative data at the end of the day.
And dowsing sticks are to do with ley lines, aren't they? Is that right? Yeah.
I mean, you could do that around this sort of general area in South Shore because they would cross. I mean, you can use it on people as well and get cold spots and hot spots in rooms. So that's quite interesting.
Right. Yeah, what's your opinion on cold spots? Because I went to Chingle Hall about 10 years ago, and we were in the Great Hall there, and there was a roaring fire. And I mean, because it was quite cold. It was sort of September, and it was getting a bit chilly in the evenings. And there was a really great roaring fire going. And I was stood right next to this fire, yet all around me it felt like I was in a block of ice. All my friends were warm as toast, but they touched me, and I was absolutely free. I didn't feel scared. But I was cold. Now, one of the tour guides came over and said, "Oh, yeah, that's a known cold spot." But we never really got to the bottom of what it was. We just took her word for it that people have experienced stuff there. But because it's weird, isn't it? You can experience genuine cold, and then 3 feet away, it's not cold.
No, it's not cold.
So what's that usually put down to? Is that real? Do you think energy there, or
it could be energy? It could be general.
could be a draft. Could be a hole in the roof.
Could be a hole in the roof. But you've got to think with some of these buildings as well, when they were built, they had trapdoors.
Yeah.
So they could escape or hide from whoever or whatever. Not having been round, I'd actually think it's the trapdoor. But I'd like to go around and sort of think, okay, are there any holes in the ground, so to speak? Are there any drafts? Even something, like very small, like the size of a 10-pence piece, could create quite a good draft. Or if you're stood in a specific position, or maybe you're coming down with a cold. There's so many reasons.
Yeah, sure.
I would try and think of everything before I would come at the very last one, like, it's paranormal.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the best way to reach a conclusion, isn't it?
It's like if you take a picture and you think, I've taken a picture of a ghost, and you get everybody to look at it and go, it kind of looks like a towel, or, is it the angle? Did you have a flash? Didn't you have a flash? Were you using digital? Were you using proper film?
Well, that's the interesting thing, isn't it, about people's interpretations. And again, when we were at Salisbury Hall, I had to keep asking people, and you'll hear this on the tape, as we were looking at this thing, I kept saying to people, is anybody here in any doubt what that is? If anybody really thinks it's a branch of a tree flapping about, please tell me, because we'll take your point of view across. But nobody disagreed.
I mean, sometimes when you get a group of like-minded individuals together, they tend to come out with the same things. So this is why I would want a mix of people.
Yeah.
Who are sceptical, for want of a better word, who can come up with, things maybe... Because, I would love to get something proper on film. But then again, you get the people, the sceptics in, the world going, oh, it's CGI. You could have an alien stood next to you at a Star Trek convention, and you wouldn't think anything. It could be a real alien. But you'd think, my God, that's a good costume. And you would.
It's interesting,
You're that desensitised to it. You could have a ghost and it'd be like, hello.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't think anything of it.
But out of the 7 or 8 of us that went to Salisbury Hall, there were 4 people. Chris, is this right? I think there were 4 people in that group that I never met before. There were, obviously, I know you, and I know Annie, and I know your sister, but there was 4 people there that I'd never met before. So it's not like we'd had all a good chat before. We were all pally-pally. I don't even know now. I don't know the surnames of any of them. So that was quite interesting. It's not like we'd all been friends for 15 years and we'd all, we're going to see a ghost tonight. The people I just met for the first time there that night. So it was like being with, half of them were strangers to me.
Usually the best way, I find. I mean, obviously, you know, if you've known people over a period of time, you get to know their nuances and
Exactly,
what their specialities are.
Exactly. I think that's what makes it so much more interesting. Is that they were all different people. Were all seeing it, which is weird. You know, very strange.
It'd be interesting if they were, you know, they saw the same thing in different parts of the room, or you were separated by, you know, different walls or things like that. That would be interesting.
Well, I think you'll find it interesting, especially even if you don't find what obviously there's no evidence. All you're getting on that is our reaction to it. But certainly, the mini-disc recording of a grandfather clock when there was no clock there is bizarre. And we didn't pick up on that till 2 days later when we actually went over the tape and we thought, God, that's weird. And it is strange.
I mean, sometimes you pick things up that, you know, you haven't heard or you haven't seen with your naked eye and you think, how did I miss that?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's right. But when we double-checked, like I said, no grandfather clock there. It's actually in a completely different part of the room and it could not have picked it up from there. Sorry, different part of the building. It could no chance it could have picked it up because there was 2 doors between it. Bizarre.
It's like when you put things down sometimes and they get moved and you know you haven't moved them.
Exactly.
I mean, I can understand with obviously some of your listeners obviously having, you know, little sight or no sight at all, and it's obviously paramount that you know where everything is.
Of course, yeah.
But what if, you know there's nobody been in your flat or your house and something's moved? How do you explain that?
That's right.
Oh, well, such body might have come in. You know, it's almost like you try and rationalise it in your head. Well, such body might have come in, you know, to bring dinner and maybe they might have moved it. But there's obviously times when you think, no, I can't think of a logical explanation for this. You know, and it's probably happened to all of us.
It's a common thing, though, isn't it? Because I speak to people who say, oh, well, I'm pretty sure there's a poltergeist in my house because I was speaking to somebody the other day, this fairly young girl in her teens was saying, well, a CD jumped off my stereo a few weeks ago. And I said, well, you mean it fell off? And she went, no, it literally kind of went like that. I'm just lifting up this mat here. It just sort of lifted up and then moved a couple of feet to the right and then dropped on the floor. She actually saw it happen. And I've heard so many people who say that. And people say it so matter-of-factly, and it seems so common. And there's I don't think there's any real reason for these people to make it up.
I mean, why would they?
Exactly. They're not going to get any gain from it. They're just going to be ridiculed by people, a lot of people. I mean, you've had it.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Get it now.
I've had it. I mean, I tell my friends that I believe in ghosts, and they just keep telling me what a load of rubbish. But to be absolutely fair, I think until you actually prove that they don't exist, it really annoys me when people say they don't exist. Well, prove it. I can't say that UFOs don't exist.
Prove
I
it.
personally think they do. I think it's probably ridiculous to think we're the only intelligent life.
It's like, turn around, go on, prove God exists.
Well, exactly.
You know, can of worms there.
Of course it is. No, it's completely.
It's like with anybody's belief. You know, some people will be swayed by opinion and what they read in the newspapers or what they see on television, and other people will actually go out there and think, okay, I'm going to see what I can find out for myself.
Definitely. Well, I think what we should do is see if we can get something going. And obviously, we're going to. I think that it's Horton Tower, isn't it, Chris? The next one we're going to try and look at. We think we might have a foot in the door at Horton Tower in Preston. Have you ever been there? I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's a massive, imposing medieval castle thing. Is it halfway between Blackburn and Preston? And it's got links with Salisbury Hall, hasn't it? We think we can probably get in there for an overnight stay. So you should come with us, definitely. And it would be somebody with a genuine interest in it, and a different face on the team, which I think would be great.
I'd really enjoy that.
Yeah, I think we should. And I think the good thing about being here is that we're not just a bunch of sort of like, maybe in their opinion, strange people. We're actually sort of professional people doing this for another reason as well. But at the same time, we can go in there and record some stuff, and we're doing it for a good cause because we're attached to a charity, which is often the way in, isn't it? I mean, even if we sort of say, well, you know, we're going to do it for charity and get people to sponsor us to stay the night in a haunted house, it's a great way in of doing it, isn't it? You know, so we'll have to see what happens, but it would be good if we could, because we'd like to do this regularly, because we enjoyed it, didn't we, on Wednesday night? Chris? Thumb up, thank you. And Chris always puts his thumb there, and we always know that he's agreement. Right, well, thank you for coming in, Julia. It's been very nice to meet you, and we'll definitely try and set something up. I think if we can get some like-minded people, maybe it doesn't even have to be a massive group, does it? We could just get even into double figures if we could get 10 or something.
Right, I'd just like to thank you very much indeed.
You're welcome.
And no doubt your listeners will hear of our further adventures very soon.
They will. No, they definitely will. And also we're hoping that through the website that we're going to set up, that more people listen to it. You know, we're trying to get some promotion, maybe in the Paranormal magazine. I've actually been in contact with our editor already, or tried to, sent her an email to just tell her about what we're doing. But I'm not too sure what will happen with that one, but we'll see, we'll find out.
Right, thanks very much indeed.
Brilliant. Okay, well, we're joined in the studio for the second time by Juliet Gregson.
Hello.
Hello, Juliet. Now then, regular listeners to Blue Iris will, of course, remember your first visit, which I think was about October time, wasn't it? It was October, November time, I think it was. It was after we'd been to Salisbury Hall, I know that much. And quite a few things have happened since. I know that you're pressing on with your various projects and stuff, so that's why we've dragged you in here to talk about it today. So first of all, welcome back.
Thank you.
It's nice to see you. And just tell us what's going on in the world of Juliet and her Blackpool Ghosts project. What's happening?
Flipping out, where do I start? Well, obviously, after I had my last visit here, I decided to, with the help of my father and various other friends, to make a website, which is Blackpool Ghosts, www.blackpoolghosts.co.uk. Quite nice. And it's been up and running for the past month now. So basically, obviously, I'm just trying to compile evidence and stories and throw in a little bit of Blackpool history as well, because I think everybody at some point has obviously come here for the holiday, or even if they're local, they go, oh, I never knew that, and that sort of thing. I've been trying to write things for magazines and newspapers and things like that. So I've had an article published in a magazine called Vision, and it's like paranormal, deals with mediums and things like that. I've had something published on the internet for BBC Lancashire.
That's the spooky site, isn't it?
It's the spooky site, because I was like, oh, I'll see if I can get any. Basically, I'm just sort of emailing people saying, hello, my name's Juliet, I live in Blackpool Ghosts, and kind of blagging it a bit. But at the end of the day, I think it's just interesting. So I thought, well, you know, I'm doing it for free. You know, I'm doing it for charity. I mean, there was another magazine that's just been launched called Blackpool Spotlight, so I'm going to be writing for that as well. So it's all good experience at the end of the day, and trying to reach the masses out there, so to speak.
Sure, because you had a sort of a website within a website set up, didn't you? It was kind of like it was on Pro Boards, wasn't it?
It was, yes, and they tend to crash on a regular basis, so I thought, better look professional now. So it was like, Dad, yes, can you help me please? So he set that up for me, and my friend Carl, he did sort of like the forum side where we can post things like that. So at the moment, got about 50 members in a month, which is pretty good going.
Absolutely, no, it is. It's slow, isn't it? Because you have to get the word out. It's difficult.
It's difficult, but at the end of the day, I don't care how long it takes. I still want to write the book about Blackpool Ghosts.
Yeah.
And I don't care if it takes me 2 years or 10 years. It's like a work of love, so to speak.
I think we spoke the last time you came in about, you know, the various ghosts and sightings and things that are seen, the legend, you know, the legends of Blackpool Ghosts and things like that. And it's perhaps not as plentiful as some areas, simply because it's not been around for as long as other places in terms of actually being a town and the buildings.
Very true.
We're not dealing with 300-400-year-old cathedrals and stuff in Blackpool, are we? We're dealing with things that stretch back to the
couple of hundred years.
Victorian times and a bit before.
I mean, if it was like York, you can go, oh, York Minster or London and so on and so forth. I mean, you can sort of trace it back to sort of Roman settlements around the area, but the nearest one I think was probably Lancaster, to be honest. I'd have to go back and research that. We had I don't know if it was a village or a town, Kilgrimmel. Have you heard of that? That was one of the centre.
Yeah, around the St Anne's there, because there's still Kilgrimmel Gardens, isn't there, just off Clifton Drive? Yeah,
that's sank.
Yes,
so that's quite interesting, but there's very few references there. Because I thought that would have been interesting if you could sort of do a Doctor Who and go back in time and go, this is interesting. Blackpool, though, because you think, well, was it a seaside town? You know, how many people did we have? It's just sort of originally lots of farms, and then they all sort of grew over the years. And then made Blackpool what it is today, which is a seaside resort, I think.
I suppose it's inevitable, though, isn't it? Because when you research things about ghosts, they're intrinsically linked with historical events and historical times. So you are, I suppose it's twofold, really, isn't it? You're finding out about ghost legends, things like that, but you're also, there's a chance there people go on the website, people are going to get a potted history of Blackpool and also find out things they never knew. Yeah.
Same here. I mean, it's just absolutely fascinating, some of the things I found out, because I thought, what if there've been any boat crashes or things like that?
Yeah.
And I ended up on a Fleetwood website, and it was like a list over the past 300 years that the names of the ships that had crashed along the coast. It was like, good grief, it was so I was really surprised at that. And it's literally from Fleetwood up to St Anne's and Lytham. I was like, bloody hell. I was quite surprised, and I was like, good grief, you could probably explain if you saw something if you're walking along the promenade. Yeah. Perhaps it's the people from the shipwrecks. I don't know. There's another explanation, perhaps.
But in terms of supposed sightings and legends and things like that around Blackpool, I mean, is there one that strikes at you as being the most common? The one that when you keep doing some digging, it always comes back to that one of the better known legends around the town.
I think with the Pleasure Beach, because it's when you think when the Pleasure Beach was actually sort of up and running, because it was actually built on a gypsy camp and the sand dunes. Yeah. And the wonderful Blackpool Pleasure Beach history is always a bit vague. They say, oh yes, it was this year, and I'm thinking, no, it was about 1904, 1905, when it actually, Pleasure Beach as it was. Most people go, oh, Pleasure Beach, cloggy, ghost train.
Of course, this is...
and then, my haunted. Yeah. Oh, and then everybody's always got a story about that. I have. My late granddad used to work there. I've worked there. My mother's worked there. I've been there and I've heard things, and then I've thought, hold on a minute. My granddad would hide and he would jump out and frighten people. I've done it. Naughty, I know, but that's one of the things that sometimes we did when we worked there. It was a bit of fun. Let's scare the punters. I'm sorry if I scared you. I'm really sorry.
Because, of course, cloggy, if anyone ever watches Most Haunted, I think we mentioned this last time you were in, that they apparently picked up on this spirit called cloggy that hides in the ghost train. But I spoke to somebody at the Pleasure Beach who says they know for a fact that's completely made up. It's just nonsense. But what about something that's actually got a bit more substance to it?
I mean, there are quite a few that are dotted about the Pleasure Beach. You've got, like, the previous owners, and I don't mean Mr. Geoffrey Thompson, Mr. Leonard Thompson, apparently he's seen round about the Wonderful World building, which is what is now, like, the casino bit where Mistake is. Yeah. You've got the Ice Dome, which is now called the Ice Arena, but you've got people who've had heart attacks there, and skaters are seen. You've got things in the changing rooms backstage. There's quite a few. You've got the Star Pub. There's things that have been seen there over the years. So when you start digging a bit more, you think, oh, it's not just cloggy. There are other bits. I mean, I used to skate there as a child, and my parents actually met there. So they've sort of passed things on. And with my granddad, and he'd tell me things, and I thought, I'm good. This is interesting. And I've picked things up from friends and colleagues who worked there over the years. And it's like, maybe there is something to it. Because when you think where it was built, gypsy encampment.
Of course, yeah.
But folklore, you'd have to research it. It's interesting, nevertheless. I'm like, could be something to this.
What about the tower? Because I've known people who've worked in the tower for a long, long time. I hardly know anyone that has worked there that hasn't seen something. That's got quite a bit of history attached to it. Supposedly this old Edwardian gentleman in a top hat supposed to be seen quite a lot, isn't he, around the Tower Ballroom?
Oh, I mean, there are so many bits. It could be the person who built it. It could be somebody who just liked going there. Maybe looking for his lost love, or genuinely just liking Blackpool Tower. But then again, you could sort of harken it back to when some of the ships have crashed along that area. And they thought, oh yeah, I'll just have a visit here. At the end of the day, I wish I could go around that properly, but I haven't had the chance to. But it is quite spooky. And you're like, maybe it's the lighting, maybe there is something there. But everybody, like you've just said, everybody's seen something. I thought I saw something, but I thought, no, it's just me. It's the light, because there wasn't a lot of light at the time.
But when you've been talking to people and researching, I mean, have you had any particularly interesting sort of eyewitness accounts from people who say they've seen something maybe fairly recently somewhere?
Oddly enough, no. They're more concerned, I think, with the Pleasure Beach or other areas at the moment. Because it's Blackpool Tower. Yes, it's tall. Yes. Have you got any stories? No. Okay. I think they're having a rush on orb pictures at the moment. I was at the Winter Gardens and I've got this orb. Oh, right, thank you. But that's quite good. But then again, you think, right, is it the camera? Have they cleaned it? Is it something? You know, but the Winter Gardens, again, I think there's quite a lot of history there. So to me, the Winter Gardens complex is more interesting.
And of course, you've got the Grand Theatre, which I suppose is that is an eerie place at night, isn't it? I've been in there. And it's been almost completely dark, and you wouldn't want to be there on your own, particularly.
I think I went on a guided tour a couple of years ago with my mother, and we were sort of walking on the stage. Bigger than you think as well when you stood there. You're like, this is quite good. And we were sort of walking backstage and around where you're not allowed to usually as the general public. And we heard things like somebody was walking behind us, and there wasn't. There was just myself and my mother. And it was like, you hear that? Yeah. Okay. But then again, we always hear things, so it's like, But I'd love to go around again and sort of do something proper and go, right, have you seen this? What have you seen? What did they look like? Get somebody maybe to do a sketch or something like that. That'd be interesting.
Because we talked last time about maybe setting up some sort of ghost club, and because we've been so busy here, we've not been able to do it. But we really need to do this because there's still no one else has done it. So we
need to do this.
We really do need to do it. And I know, again, we talked before we went on air about at least a couple of friends of mine who are currently experiencing some things at the moment at home that they really can't understand, some really interesting stuff, and hopefully if we went in maybe recorded something, we might be able to tell people about it next time. But those sort of people would love to join that kind of thing, and because most other towns and cities seem to have a ghost club or whatever. We should have. There isn't one in Blackpool, is there? There's a psychic club, I think, but that tends to be more about people kind of telling you what's going to happen in your job or something, but not actually investigating things that go on in Blackpool. We were talking as well before about quite an old sighting of a green-faced ghost around the gates to Carlton Crematorium, weren't we? And if you look on the internet, it's quite easy to find stuff about this. This is on just off Blackpool Road, isn't it? Blackpool Road?
Yes, we had a look on Google and we had fun trying to.
We did. We were on Google Earth trying.
We
to
do live here.
find
We just don't know the names of the streets.
Indeed.
I'm sorry.
But I know that you've approached the people who look after Carlton Crematorium about possibly being able to go there and do some
even just to go around and sort of say, this is what I want to write along these lines, sort of show them things that I've written and sort of say, I'd like your permission because, you know, this is a lovely place and I just want to hear it from people who work here. Do it properly and rather than, ghost seen at Carlton Crem. Green. Have you seen the green ghost? Dun dun dun. You know, what are you doing? Did you get permission? No. It was best to do things properly.
Because it does sound quite a terrifying legend, really, and we're not quite sure. There's not an awful lot recorded about fairly recent sightings, but I would imagine. I'm sure somebody's seen something. I would have thought.
The original report was in the Blackpool Herald, which is now the Blackpool Ghosts in 1936. And if you actually look back in the history, the crematorium was officially opened in 1936 of that year. So I reckon it must have been in the summer months when it opened. Yeah. And if you actually, it is huge, absolutely huge. But you know, you sort of hear gossip and stories over the years. I mean, to this day, my father will not drive past there during the day or during the night. Really? Really. Right. And I actually put that on the website and he went, you put this? I was like, well, it's true. Do you drive past this? I said, well, yes. I've actually gone there at night and he's like, mad. And I'm like, yes, it is a bit scary because I think subconsciously you're like, woo, and you sort of gene yourself up. But I thought, no, I have to do this. So why won't they drive past? Just because? I think because of that. Right. So there's probably part of me that thinks, yes, I'd like to go and write up about it and to sort of either A, prove to my dad, yes, it is true, or B, no, it's just folklore. But if you go back, there's a lot of farms around there over the years. Somebody, I think, was actually brutally murdered, I think, around that area and era as well. So it's just going, oh, right, let's piece this together and see what we got. A lot of it could just be kids, you know, just in high spirits. Oh, that's a bad pun. That was a really bad pun. You know, just maybe somewhere to go. Because people think, oh, you know, they go on the amusement arcades. But no, some actually go to the crematoriums because it's quiet. Yeah. They won't get hassled. Sure. I don't.
But having set up the website, though, have you had a few people contact you or friends or whatever who contact you and said, I've experienced this, what do you think? I mean, are people coming to you and saying, look, what do you reckon? Could this be my imagination? Do you think there's anything in it?
Yeah. Or they've sent me pictures of orbs, or they've sent me a story about Blackpool or their local area, because I've done a little section, you know, do your own little story.
Yeah.
Other people, obviously, from other sites going, oh, this is really interesting, I like reading about it. Even if they don't live in Blackpool, I've got friends in London, friends in Yorkshire, you know, just dotted everywhere going, oh, that's good. It's nice seeing the tower half built. I said, yeah, it is quite intriguing, but it's nice to sort of think, oh, is that what it used to look like? Or that could explain why that happens, because of the ley lines, or there was a farm there, or there was a gypsy encampment, or something.
But, I mean, is there anywhere, apart from what we've mentioned, that you particularly like to go and check this out? I think I probably asked you this last time, but I mean, having done a bit more research, is there somewhere you'd really like to go and sort of have a really good look at? The Winter Garden.
Winter Garden, because apparently there's tunnels left, right and centre that even the staff, some of the staff there have forgotten exist.
Right. Well, because most haunted went under there, didn't they?
They didn't explore as much as they could, apparently. I met somebody, I think at a psychic club, and they said, oh, I'm a caretaker there, or something. And I've emailed him, and his emails bounced back, so I'm going to have to go to the club again and go, hello, can I look round, please? Because he said, oh, yeah. He says, just bring a camcorder and we'll just have a walk. And I'm thinking, yay! I'll be there just walking around going, ooh, because I love things like that. It's like very Indiana Jones.
Yeah. But the book that you're obviously planning, I mean, as far as we know, there's not really been another book. There's a book released a couple of years ago on Lancashire Ghosts, which is quite interesting. But specifically about Blackpool, I don't think it's been done before. So there's no reason why there shouldn't be some sort of market for it.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, you could probably go online and think Blackpool history books, and there's probably 20, 30. You know, over the years, I can think of like Ted Lightbrown. He writes books about Blackpool. I think he lives in Leighton, and various other people. And I thought, it's not on ghosts. There's loads on the internet, but it's not about the paranormal side of Blackpool. So I thought, right, don't care. I'm going to compile something. And that's when I sort of started it last year. So I thought, be nice.
Sure.
It's going to take a while.
Sure, absolutely. Last time we were here, of course, we had a really good chat about Most Haunted, which, of course, is a phenomenon. I've got a slight feeling it's possibly died down a bit to what it was maybe a year or 18 months ago. It was at its peak, but it seems to have died down. I wonder as well, I'm not quite sure if he'd gone or he was about to go when we last spoke.
I think he was about to go.
Derek, yes, he was, because the Halloween one that they did it with, was it at Whitechapel with Jack the Ripper?
Yes.
I think that was the last one he did, wasn't it? Because, of course, Derek, of course, left. And he's doing his own programme now. You got the impression it was possibly to add a bit more credibility to it by him going. I've got Gordon Smith in now, who's a bit more...
He's left.
He's left as well?
Yes.
I didn't know that. Wow. How come? Do we know? Or?
I can't say.
Oh, right. Oh, you know, but you don't...
Yes, I know and I can't say, and I'll be done for libel.
Oh, okay.
Again!
Okay. Oh,
I can tell him off air, but unfortunately, sorry, I can't say to them.
Tell me off air.
I'm really sorry, listeners. I know far more than I should.
So he's gone, right?
He's gone.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Do you think programmes like... I mean, obviously ITV have launched the Haunted Homes programme. And the guy on there is a sceptic. He's a real sceptic, isn't he? Because he's also on, I think, Trish's Psychic Britain programme on Channel 5, isn't he? He's a particularly... He disses everything, doesn't he, that guy?
Oh, he does. I mean, at the end of the day, I think there is a shelf life for something like this. It's like with reality TV.
Yeah.
Big Brother, things like that. Reality, like Maureen, I think, learning to drive, that sort of type of programme. And I think with Most Haunted, yes, it was good. It was good in its day, and it's kind of going, and it's sort of going down the slope again. But they are actually producing a ghost game. The actual production company, Antics and Yvette Fielding, and her husband, Carl Beatty. Looks quite good, actually. And they're sort of doing subsidiaries of that and doing guest talks and sort of games and things.
A ghost game? What, for a computer game, you mean, or something?
I think, yes, or something you can... Like Atmosphere, like a DVD type thing. So I thought that could be quite interesting. Because my friend, Carl Wilde, he actually has... he does board games, and he sells them, and he does, from all over the world, like Germany and sort of Spain and things. I think he's going to supply, like you do divisions and things like that. So I thought it'd be interesting just to see one, and so we can have a go, just sort of test it and things like that. Because I sort of emailed saying, my friend actually does this, and apparently they'd already got in contact. I was like, oh, I was trying to do you a favour, Carl. He was like, sorry, forgot. I was like...
I don't think there's been a Most Haunted live for a bit, has there? No. Yeah, because I know Dr. David Bull left as well, didn't he?
Yes, that was like, why are they all leaving? There are reasons behind that, and I think some of it was probably due to, you know, moving on to pastures. You know, you can't stay in the same thing for too long,
No.
otherwise you get typecast and possibly money, I think,
Yeah.
at the end of the day. I mean, Derek's gone on to do Ghost Towns, which has proved really successful.
Yeah,
He did one in Blackpool.
I've never seen it, to be honest. I've never seen any of it.
It was interesting because where he actually filmed, you had the Illuminations depot, which is on Rugby Road.
Oh, yeah, of course, yes.
And
I
then the
remember
actual
that. Yeah.
hotel he visited, because I actually did this, I'd Google again. Where would I be without Google? He actually went to this hotel, which was like a 3-minute walk from me. And I thought all the places they went to were within a 10-minute driving distance. I thought, that's naughty! And I tried to get in contact with some of them, but they're proving a bit rude and not answering me back. So I may just turn up and just go, hello, can I interview you?
The Illuminations Depot, we can certainly put you in touch with the guy who runs Blackpool Illumination Depot, a guy called Richard Ryan, who is a friend of Blue Iris, because we did an interview with him just after the Illuminations were switched on, and he's a really nice guy. He will happily show you around.
That would be smashing.
Happily show you
I
around.
did email, but I get the feeling it might have been lost in the system.
Don't worry, I'll give you his email address. It's no problem. No problem. So possibly that these things are kind of they've maybe been done to saturation point. I mean, maybe most haunted would be better off disappearing for 18 months and coming back with, you know, having
fresh new outlook. Yeah.
Because they must be running out of places to go. I would have thought as well.
I mean, at the end of the day, they've been to Blackpool twice. When I think about it, they did the Most Haunted Live here in 2004, but before that they actually visited Blackpool. They went round the Ghost Train and I forget where else they went. It was like in the very beginning.
Yeah.
But then again, they actually live in Southport, so that's near for them.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they went for the obvious things, like the Winter Gardens, the Tower.
And they've also been to Mains Hall, of course, which was the one which was supposed to have something interesting on it. Again, I never saw it, but apparently it was some kind of mist or something.
Mist or cobweb and things like that. I mean, there was much heated debate on the internet and forums and things like that, and I thought, ooh, I'm backing out of this one.
Did you actually see it at all, the episode?
I saw the episode and I thought, well, it could have gone either way. You could have thought, ooh, yes, they have got something. But then again, it's just personal judgment, I think, at the end of the day. Lovely place. Really nice, you know, you think, ooh, this is fabulous, but that would need, I think, a proper investigation, to be honest.
Yeah.
Rather than people going, oh, well, it's Most Haunted, and they've kind of dismissed it. You know, rather a group go there and go, yes, ooh, yeah, we've got this.
But on the flip side of that, though, there's an awful lot of companies starting up on the internet, things like, I think there's one called Fright Nights and one or two others that do these overnight stays, but they actually do take professional investigators. It's not a case of, well, we just sit there and see if anything bumps. They do actually conduct experiments. They're meant to be very, very good. And they go to some amazing places. Like, I think one of the favourites for Fright Nights is Dudley Castle, because that's supposed to be very haunted. It's one of the most haunted locations in Britain. And they go all over the place. They go to the place that Charles I was meant to have been hiding from Cromwell's men in Worcester. That was like an old inn. That's meant to be particularly haunted and places like that. And York, they do a lot at there's various sort of haunted pubs, isn't there, in York?
There is. I do like York.
York's great, isn't it? It's an atmospheric place. So those sort of things seem to be doing quite well.
I don't think there's a market in Blackpool for
No,
that.
there isn't, no.
Because it's too many, no disrespect intended, holiday makers going, whoa, you know, sort of tottering quite nicely along the promenade. But if other things like that, you know, Blackpool hasn't got the history yet. Give it another couple of 100 years, then maybe that sounds really bad. I'll be dead.
Sure. And of course, locally we've got things like, obviously we went to Salisbury Hall, which is great, and then you've got Chingle Hall, which is a sort of, it seems to be like becoming the holy grail of ghost investigators. Everybody wants to go there, but of course it's no longer a tourist attraction, and you just can't get in, can you? Well, very difficult to.
Apparently you can, but it's who you know, I've heard.
Right.
Because I don't know the right people, obviously, at the moment. And I said, but you can't go round. Yes, you can. No, you can't. But I don't know who.
I think if you approach them as a charity and say you're doing an overnight stay, but promise not to record anything. I once had a chat with a guy from, I think it was MARA, Merseyside Anomalies Research Association, and I think he'd done a deal with the owner of Chingle Hall who said, you can come round, you can stay, you can take all the recordings and video footage you want, but sign this and you mustn't do anything with it for 5 years, and then you can release it.
How bizarre.
And I don't know whether that meant that the owner was planning to get rid of it in 5 years, so it wouldn't be his problem. But I know when he took it over, he stopped it immediately because he didn't want people traipsing all over his house, because, you know...
I mean, fair comment.
But it's an amazing
Weird.
place. In the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, everybody was going there having day tours and night tours. I went there twice. It is.
I've never
If
been.
anywhere's haunted, if these
It'll be
things
there.
really exist, it would be there. There's no doubt about it.
I
really
mean,
is.
I was too young, so I'd obviously read about it. And then, obviously, when the internet became more popular, it was like, oh, this looks interesting. I never knew what it looked like.
Yeah.
It would be nice just to sort of go around, even if I didn't take any pictures, I'd just be like, ooh, I've been here now.
Well, maybe as a charity, we should approach them and say, look, we're going to do some charity fundraising. I know of a couple I heard on the internet definitely did it last year. Like cancer charities and local hospitals got sponsored, you know. So I don't see why. Perhaps we should approach them and see if we can do it.
That'd be worth a go.
We'll have a word. Definitely. So let's just recap on your website then. It is www.
BlackpoolGhosts.co.uk, all
Fantastic.
lowercase.
And there's all sorts of things on there. There's a forum where people can join in and have a chat.
There's places you can post your all pictures or any other pictures of ghosts that you think you've caught. There's the history of Blackpool. I've tried to put the history of the ghosts I found out about. I've put links or I've posted the articles I've written. Pictures of old Blackpool again, which sort of ties in with the history of the ghosts and the paranormal.
But it's always good, of course, to hear from people who've got experience.
Oh, definitely, yes.
And if any, because no disrespect to our audience, but our audience are experienced, shall we say, advanced in years, and I'm sure that one or two of them have heard some stories about Blackpool and things like that. So get in touch with me via all the details, and I can pass them on to Juliet, or you can just go to visit Juliet's site and add your comments there, or leave a message or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there are people out there with some stories.
Even if it's just a couple of lines or a small paragraph, or I've got this picture, what do you think of it? Anything. I just enjoy sort of talking to people and going, ooh, oh, this is fascinating. And then several emails later, it's like, oh.
What's the most interesting picture, just finally, you've had submitted to your web? Not just that website, but you've seen maybe locally in the last few years. Interesting picture.
There was one which is a fake, which I thought was highly entertaining, and you can find it on the internet, and I think it was the Coronation Street exhibition when we had it next to the St.
I've seen that one, yes.
And the Sharples or something.
Yeah, ridiculous, isn't it?
And it was like, are they pulling my leg?
I think they were.
I sort of looked and I thought, nah, sort of thing.
What about a real one then?
A real one? I mean, obviously, I would say probably some of mine, but there are other things that friends have sort of sent me of orbs or pictures of like their relatives, or like phantom cat. I think I had that was a bizarre one, and I think it was the reflection of the cat's eyes. They look red. It's like devil cat. It was like, no, okay. But I quite like the orb ones at the moment because I'm trying to sort of find explanations for things like that. It's like, well, you didn't clean your camera, but sometimes you can actually see faces in them, and I'm thinking, well, you've got to be pretty good with a camera to do that. I think some are fake, but some aren't. I'd probably have to go through everything and go, ooh. I'd like to get a definitive one, sort of like, is this, the most famous Blackpool ghost? Or here's Cloggy. Clogs or something. No, that would be cruel. That's my wicked sense of humour.
I think though that probably the most interesting stories are ones from people who otherwise would be pretty sceptical. Because I was talking about this. We were talking in the pub the other night after drama, and I was speaking to. I'm in a drama group with a lady whose husband used to be my PE teacher, and he's hard as nails. He's a former Commonwealth shot putter. He's a really kind of hard, down to earth PE teacher bloke, and he swears blind that. The day that he didn't know his granddad was ill, his granddad died suddenly. And apparently he was sat at home one day and he saw his granddad's face sort of looking at him from the wall. And about an hour later they got the phone call saying his granddad had died. And he still doesn't believe in ghosts, but he believes it in that story, and he says it's absolutely true. And he was a young man in his sort of late teens, early 20s. He wasn't a kid hallucinating. He's not making it up. And it's interesting, when you speak to people like that, you think, well...
credibility.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, I think... because my mother and I see things in that respect. I think my father over the years, he's like, oh, it's all piffle, waffle, boulder dash. But now, I think because I'm doing this, and he's like, oh, what have you written now? Or what have you got flipping published? And then I said, have you ever seen anything? And I go, well, yeah. And he swears blind things like this don't exist. He really does. So in that respect, I would believe my dad, and I think, well, I've seen it, so he's seen it. And he's very sceptical.
Yeah.
It's very odd. Or some people you think, yeah, you're just pulling my leg. Other people, like respected people, like priests and things, you think, maybe there's something to this.
Sure.
It's fascinating at the end of the day.
Brilliant. Okay, well, we'll see what happens. And obviously we'll be working, hopefully, quite closely with Juliet and her merry band of friends who I'm sure that are helping you run your website, and we'll see what happens. So, well, thanks for coming in.
No, thank you for inviting me.
www.blackpoolghosts.co.uk.
Go click it. Go visit. You know you want to.
Right. Thanks, Juliet. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks again.
See you.